Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just going to confirm if you guys can hear me. And the 6 tick, I like apples and bananas too. Fruit is good for everyone. What's going on, Chosen One? Good to have you here. Junior, good to have you guys here. I'm going to be away for a second. Just got to get some more tea, and I will return. Stream starts in 3 minutes. Make sure you share it around, guys. Thanks. And like the video if you haven't. All right, guys, I'm back. Just confirm you guys can hear me. Perfect. Awesome. Appreciate it, guys. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. So, first of all, hopefully you guys are enjoying the profits. Bitcoin hit our take profit 1 at 102,900. So you guys should be in profit anywhere from 15 to 30%, depending when you took the long. But yeah, great to see that our short is paying off. So again, congrats to anyone that got in it. And then to anyone that's in Jim Hunter's Premium, we actually called an ETH short as well. That's in profit 30+%. So again, a lot of good stuff going on with our shorts right now. So that's why it pays to trade counter sentiment. But with that, let's get started. So for the liquidation heat map, right now we have $516 million worth of liquidations over the past 24 hours. Now you can see longs are more than shorts, okay? So it's actually just updated. So now we're seeing longs 328 million, whereas shorts 216 million. So that shows a lot of people were off sides, okay? So whenever we had this, that shows that a lot of people were still long, they were euphoric, and that's why I called this short, okay? Because I knew eventually we would actually have a pullback, and we did. And then longs got liquidated. And so that's why, guys, it always pays to hedge, right? You can still be long and short at the same time. Like, we're making money off our longs, but also we made money off the short. So why not do both? Maximize the gains that you make, okay? So that's something that's good. Let's see. Six Tech says volume up, please. I'll try to talk closer to the mic. As far as the liquidation heat map, this is something else. Now let's go ahead and refresh this to get a more updated view. So remember in our market update what I said. I said, hey, there's a lot of liquidation building around this 103 to 104K level. We're probably going to hit it. And look what happened. We actually hit it. So that's why, guys, it pays to look at the market updates, to pay attention to those whenever we post them. Because I'm not just posting them for my health. I'm posting them to help you guys out. Because most people aren't looking at the data 24/7, 365. I'm posting a market update nearly every day. And I try to give you guys the best data I can, the most accurate data. And so least you can do is just look at it and ask me questions if you have it, but learn from it so that you guys can become self-sustaining and making your own profits, right? And so that's what we're here at the end of the day. Just tries to make you guys self-sustaining because as they say, you teach a man to fish, or you give a man a fish, feed him for a day. You teach him to fish, feed him for life. And that's what we're trying to do at Gym Hunters, teach you guys how to fish. Now, what I'm seeing is there's some liquidity building at 105.2K. So, I mean, we just had a massive candle to the downside. And so that is crazy. We're going to have to see what happens with that. But nonetheless, now with that, what I want to say real quick. Sorry, guys. Just going to check on the trades real quick. Don't mean to cut the stream here. Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. So it's almost at our take profit 2 now for Bitcoin. So literally you can see this happening in real time. We're making money real time right now. But yeah, so liquidation price about 105.3K for liquidation levels. So maybe a bounce after we have this drop. But again, probably some negative news came out. So we're going to cover that in a second. So let's look over some crypto news. And I'm actually going to look over some of the recent news just to make sure we didn't miss anything. Let's see if there was anything else. See if there's anything with Watcher Guru real quick. Okay. So it looks like there wasn't anything at least on Watcher Guru, but I'll keep looking. If you guys have any news that just came out that caused the drop, let me know too. But looking over some crypto news today, or the past week, I should say. So there's a lot of news surrounding Michael Saylor. And one of it was he currently has 20 billion unrealized profit on his Bitcoin investments. So this was a big reason why we've had Bitcoin being propped up. Again, I don't want to say it's artificially propped up, but the fact that Saylor keeps buying, we would not be where we're at now if Saylor didn't keep buying, and almost inducing a FOMO-like effect for other institutions, right? Because he holds, I believe, more Bitcoin than Satoshi right now, which is crazy. I think he holds 2.8% or more. And so that is wild to think, and he's not slowing down. He actually recently purchased more Bitcoin. I want to say, excuse me, there was actually an article that came out that said he purchased more. Let's see if I can find it. If I don't find it, that's fine. But it shows that, you know, he is continuing to buy Bitcoin no matter what. And so I think as long as he continues, we're going to see the price continue to rise. And so now we're just kind of waiting to see if that bubble pops, or again, if he gets liquidated, or if there's something else. But there needs to be a huge unwinding for that to happen. So nonetheless, though, it's great to see Saylor continuing to buy Bitcoin. Now, also, there's some other good news with Ethereum. So Ethereum, again, was breaking 2,500, 2,600. And this is something I want to point out because Ethereum is a big indicator of alt season. So those who don't know, alt season, it starts whenever Ethereum starts outperforming versus Bitcoin. You can look at the charts, the ETH Bitcoin chart. Anytime it starts outperforming, alts send. And that's why the past few days we've seen meme coins, L1s, up 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% or more. Because Ethereum has just been on a tear, right? And that's why actually I did call a short on Ethereum in the Gym Hunters Premium group at 2560 to 2580. Because I said, you know, it's up against resistance at 2600. It's probably going to go back down. And that's exactly what happened. And again, you have to, again, look at both sides. When there's a lot of euphoria, when everything's pumping, and a great trader told me, he says, when it seems stupid to sell, that's exactly when you should sell. And what he meant by that was, if there's so many bullish catalysts and there's no reason you should sell and everything's going great, well, that's exactly when you need to be taking profits or even shorting. And that's why I placed the Bitcoin short as well, because everyone was telling me, no, Bitcoin's going to go much higher, but I knew indicators were overbought. I knew we were at big resistance. I knew fear and greed index was getting to greed and close to extreme greed. There's a lot of metrics that were showing me a short was the more advantageous play. And that's exactly what we're seeing today. And so again, you may have to wait a few days for your trade to play out, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. Okay, so it's just you gotta be able to, again, have a pulse on the market, but at the same time, be able to know when longs are off sides or shorts are off sides, or when there's way too much euphoria or fear in the market, right? You gotta be able to play both sides. Now, besides that, again, we had a lot of meme coins rising, which is good. Then you had Conor McGregor. So he's actually looking to be the president of Ireland, and he actually wants Ireland to create a Bitcoin strategic reserve. So this is going to create more FOMO from other countries and nation states to create their own SBR. Again, the United States has already signed an executive order to create one. Now you have other countries looking to follow suit. Then also you had BlackRock meeting with the SEC Crypto Task Force to discuss staking, options, tokenizations, and ETF approval standards. BlackRock has been meeting with everyone in crypto for the past few years now. Like, they initially started the Bitcoin ETF train because whatever they apply for, it gets approved. Bitcoin ETF, Ethereum ETF. Eventually, it's going to be Solana, XRP, SUI, SEI, Doge. Like, there's so many ETFs being applied for right now. I think there's over 70. And people are oblivious to that fact, but it's a very important fact because it shows institutions don't just want exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum. They want exposure to everything. People are human, just, institutions are human just like you and I, right? They want a variety. They want some diversification. They want some more returns than just 20, 30, 40, 50% per year. They want those quick returns, and other alts are the way that can happen for them. And so that's why you need to pay attention. Again, especially with tokenization, RWA, real world assets, tokenizing assets on the blockchain, buying houses, buying cars, whatever have you, on the blockchain. Like, the world is changing before our eyes, and crypto is becoming the standard now. It's akin to fiat, right? Bitcoin is becoming the global currency that's akin to fiat. It's digital gold, and it's actually coming to fruition right now. Everything that we've been preparing for the past 8, 9, 10 years in crypto. And so it's finally good to see at least these institutions, like them or hate them, they're really trying to go all in, and they're going to introduce crypto to all of their clients, okay? It's hard to believe, but I think 90% of people still aren't in crypto right now, of the global population, which is hard to believe. And I would say a majority of that wealth still isn't in yet. And that's from, your asset managers, all their clients, the 401ks, the Fidelity, IRAs, all of that, right? There's still a very small percentage they're allowing exposure to for Bitcoin. And so once you raise those percentages to 10, 20, 30% of someone's 401k, of a $5-10 trillion asset manager, all that money flows into crypto, and you know what happens next. And then last but not least, we have JD Vance speaking at the 2025 Bitcoin conference. So if you look at my market updates that I post in the Telegram, then you will see that I post about upcoming events. So we have the Bitcoin conference. I believe it's May 27th through May 29th. So make sure you guys are staying apprised of that. But that should actually be pretty good as well. So if you guys are going to that, definitely should be a good time. But yeah, interested to see what comments he has there. So again, another few weeks, maybe another catalyst on the horizon with that. All right. Now, let's go over some macroeconomic news. So one of the biggest things that happened over the weekend, which caused a massive pump, or I should say further pump, was the United States cut tariffs on Chinese goods from 145% to 30% for 90 days. And China lowered tariffs on U.S. from 125% to 10% for 90 days. And so, again, you had this negotiation that finally happened. I don't know how many people we're just waiting for this negotiation to happen, because you had talks of Trump's negotiating with Xi, but then President Xi says no, we haven't talked to the U.S. yet, and there's this whole back and forth, right? And finally, there was some negotiation, and so it was a big relief. People were excited, obviously, and they bought accordingly. Now, the thing I was looking at, while everyone was excited and euphoric, in my head I was thinking, most people had to have seen this coming. This was telegraphed for the past few days, right? There was talks of, hey, they were having talks over the weekend, and Trump even said he has a big announcement. Granted, I believe it was the pharmaceutical announcement, but also this, right? And so people longed ahead of the announcement. They anticipated it. They bought the rumor, and then they sold the news. It happens in crypto every time, guys. And so I wasn't looking to long, on this news. I was looking where the short's at, because most of the shorts got decimated. The longs were overconfident. The longs were getting greedy. And then you had the reset. If you look at the data, liquidation levels, you could have seen, okay, indicators overbought, there's liquidation levels to the downside. We should have a pullback, yada, yada. It's just win, right? Win. And I think that this was finally that culmination of, okay, what other good news is there after this? And that's what you have to think about, guys. Is there any good news happening after this? Is there any other positive catalysts? Well, yes, the Russia-Ukraine war. Okay, that's one. What other ones, right? And so with this tariff overhang as a catalyst, a positive catalyst now, well, now it's not there. Well, yes, we could still have another one where they drop tariffs completely and remove the 90-day restriction. But again, who knows when that's going to happen, right? So now you have a timer, 90 days. And now we kind of just reset the whole game again. So that was my thought process. That's why I called the Bitcoin short. Hopefully you guys profited off of it. All right, some other news. So again, the first announcement that Trump had, he signed an executive order cutting prescription drug prices by up to 80%. Now, a big caveat to this. This was good news, but basically what he's doing is he's going to implement this cost, I should say, across the world, across different countries, so that everyone is paying relatively the same for prescription drug prices. He's going to spread the U.S.'s cost to other countries. And with that said, one of the reasons why we had the pullback today is, where was it? Here we go. President Trump says he will add on to tariffs if countries don't follow drug policy. So, again, never get too comfortable, guys, especially with Trump. You know how quickly he can shift from one side to the other. That's why I always say hedge your positions, right? I didn't call the short because I thought we were going to dump to 50K. I called it to hedge my positions. We still made money on the upside, but we also made money on the downside. Like, best of both worlds. And so at Gym Hunters, that's what we try to do. While most people are euphoric, most people aren't, saying, why are you shorting? Are we still in the short? If I call a trade in Gym Hunters, I'm still in that short unless otherwise stated, unless I make an update. If I don't make an update, I'm still in the short, right? And so, yes, I was still in the Bitcoin short. I never made an update. I said until my stop loss gets hit or my take profits get hit. And then first take profits gotten hit. Second take profit is very close to getting hit. So we're going to make, I think, at least over 40, 50% on this trade. But that was one reason why we had a low drop, right? And then besides that, there wasn't really too much else. But yeah, it's just, again, with the whole tariff thing. So that's something to keep in mind. Then also, we did have with Russia-Ukraine, I did mention this is like the next bullish catalyst, is Putin and Zelensky. They're to meet in Turkey on Thursday to discuss ceasefire. So, 3 days. This also could cause some uncertainty. Okay, so whatever happens, right, people may buy ahead of this and that, because these guys, almost worse than Trump with the tariffs, like they're very back and forth. And they can't seem to come to an agreement for anything. And so if they do end up coming to an agreement and actually have a ceasefire, that would be huge. And that would be another catalyst to send us higher. Okay, so we're looking for catalysts. We're looking for reasons why. But again, just keep in mind, after this catalyst, if they come with a ceasefire, what's the next catalyst, right? Because the market is news driven. if there's no positive news left, why are people going to buy? So you always have to be looking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 moves ahead of what else is there. And we'll talk about the upcoming events and what we have, but you always have to be thinking, guys. Just, again, if everyone knows the news, then the move's already played out. So yes, you can squeeze a little more, but you have to always be thinking in the future after that. So just keep that in mind. Gonna be interested to see what happens with that. Now, let's see. I'll go ahead and answer some questions here because we have a lot of them. Again, appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for watching. If you could like the video, it helped me out a lot, actually. I give these streams for free so you guys can learn as much as possible. But again, it helps spread gem hunters to the masses, so we'd really appreciate it, guys. And also, if you guys aren't trading on BloFin, definitely use our link in the description. Sign up for that. You'll get basically entered into our campaigns and get a lot of the good deals that we get access to, as well as if you haven't joined the Gem Hunters free group, that's in the description as well. And if you want to join the paid group, where I made the Ethereum short call as well, go ahead and click the link in the description, and it's 1 Ethereum for 1 year, which will only get more expensive as Ethereum continues higher. Let's see what's going on, Luca. Good to see you guys. Luke is traveling right now, 6tick, but again, he will be he will be well on his way to one of these streams shortly. So yeah, he always has some good content, so definitely stay tuned for that. Let's see. PD says, I'm so screwed with Pengu. I'm just holding because I didn't put high leverage. You know, that's the thing too, like I said, guys, is you got to be careful on these longs, because the minute you get too comfortable, especially when you're buying after you've had such a crazy move to the upside, that's when you open yourself up to, again, losses and make yourself more vulnerable. That's why I always hedge with shorts. Let's see. Peter says Pengu's still good to long, so I'm not longing anything currently. I'll talk about some potential long opportunities once I get to the TA portion of the stream, probably another 15 minutes or so. 6tick, no. Luke Belmar is not my marketer. I just work with him, and so we make a great team. So you know, kind of do the data analytics, the crypto side, and so we definitely complement each other very well. Gus, how much do we put in Bitcoin for shorting though? You mentioned leverage. Is it based on our budget? So it just depends how much money you're willing to lose, right? So say your leverage account, you're trading with $100. Well, you never want to put all your money into your trade. I would say max 10%. So out of that $100, maybe $10 at, we said 10x leverage, right? When we made our trade. And so, yeah, I would say that just 10% or whatever your portfolio balance is for your leverage. Now, if you're asking the grand scheme of things, so if you have $1,000 to trade in your portfolio, for leverage, probably use 20% of that. So $200 to trade in your leverage account of your entire portfolio. And then out of that leverage account, use 10% to trade per trade. Dunlap says, keeping the TRX and Pengu longs open. So those are not my trades. It's up to you if you want to keep them open. Again, it all depends on what happens this week with the macro environment. So I'll wait till they make an update for those trades. 6tick says, what's the best hard wallet in your opinion? Like, for example, if society will collapse, what wallet will you have? Okay, so hard wallet, if you're talking like cold storage, I would do Trezor. 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 And buy it from the actual website. Don't buy it off of eBay. Don't buy it off any third party, because they can end up putting in malicious software and take your keys whenever you plug it in your computer. Soban, what do you think about Sol Trump Virtual? Solana I like. Virtual I like. Trump, undecided on it. Junior says, can we long Bitcoin around 100 to 99K? Yes, that'd be a good level to start longing it. Chosen One says, Watcher Guru release some news on crypto regulation. Got it. Thanks, Chosen One. Philip says, hi, John Luke. You nailed this call. Thank you. Hey, no problem, Philip. Glad you made some money. Hope a lot of you guys made some money on it. Gus says, John Luke, how was your event in Dubai? Also, hope you're feeling better and recovering from the cold. Hey, appreciate it, Gus. The trip from Dubai was good. So I went to Token 2049 for anyone who doesn't know. And I'll continue this stream. I'm just answering some questions and we'll continue with the rest of the stream. But yeah, 2049 was good, but it's very tiring, guys. So like if you guys are going to Dubai and you're from the US, it's a 9-hour time difference. So you're going to get jet lagged. You may even get sick if you don't get a lot of sleep. So yeah, I recommend getting 8 hours of sleep when you go over there. And then not overexerting yourself too much. So not talking too much, like because your voice is going to go a little bit, right? So always washing your hands, always making sure your hygiene's good, especially before you eat. And so just keep that in mind, guys. Like it's very easy to get sick over there afterwards. Most people get sick after crypto conferences because there's so many people. But it was good though. Right now I'm on the tail end of getting better. So I'm like 90% better. Still have a stuffy nose, little cough, but besides that, doing good. So appreciate it, guys. Landon says, what exactly are ETFs? Exchange traded funds. So they're a way for institutions to buy like Bitcoin or Ethereum and to get access to them without having the risk of buying off a centralized exchange and getting rugged, for example. Okay, with that, let's go and continue some more of the stream, and then I'll answer some more questions in a minute. And again, guys, if you like the video, please like the video. It helps us spread to the masses, and I really appreciate it. All right. So let's go over some technical analysis for equities. So the S&P 500, right now it's at 5837, approaching that resistance of 5870. We saw here the RSI bounced perfectly. And as we were mentioning, the last time the RSI was, again, that oversold was during the COVID drop of 2020. And so this huge bounce played out perfectly. And now the RSI crossed above the signal line. And so it's doing great. So what I would see here is if the S&P can close above 5870 on the weekly, I'd look for 6,000, again, psychological resistance. And then after that, 6,100. Now, potentially expecting some type of pullback because we have been so strong recently. So it would not surprise me to see us back down to 5640 before bouncing higher. Maybe even 5280 if there's some black swan or negative news. But at the very least, I would say 5640. And then gold is an interesting one as well. So gold is actually finally rolling over. So RSI was overbought on the weekly. We knew it was only a matter of time before it finally rolled over, crossed below the signal line. And so what does this mean? This means people are becoming more risk on. So it means they're getting out of gold, investing into equities, into crypto. And that's why we've seen the shift where the S&P's up, Bitcoin's up, and then gold is finally down. Okay, so this is the shift we wanted because, again, gold is a hedge against inflation. It's a hedge against uncertainty. When you have uncertainty basically resolving, i.e. Trump coming to an agreement with China on the tariffs, well, now people feel like they can take a little more risk, okay? So, again, if you're looking to buy some gold, around 3,100, and then 2,950, and then 2,850, good levels. So RSI still needs to reset a little more, but I think these levels will be good to buy. Then oil futures, nothing too crazy here, still between 55 to 65. Gas price is still low, transportation cost still low, as long as it stays in this area. Very, very healthy. And then the dollar index. Now, this is something interesting, and I want people to comment on this if you have an idea, is the dollar index is no longer inversely correlated to the S&P or Bitcoin. What I mean by that is for the longest time, whenever the dollar index, so the US dollar, the strength, would decline, the S&P would rise. And whenever it would rise, the S&P would decline, or the Bitcoin would decline. But these past few weeks, we've had the dollar actually rise, for the past 4 weeks, and the S&P has risen, as well as Bitcoin has risen, right? So it's not as inversely correlated as it used to be, which tells us we need to start redefining how we, correlate the DXY with the S&P and Bitcoin. And if we need to stop looking at it as an inverse correlation and start looking at other metrics instead. So curious if other people who are smarter in equities, smarter in currencies can, tell me why we're starting to see this almost be correlated now with the S&P and crypto. And I'm assuming, again, Trump is doing great for the U.S. economy, so dollar strong, and then that also coincides with Bitcoin and everything else. So it's kind of like he's propping everything up, which I can get, right? if that's the only reason or if there's other reasons. Definitely interested to hear other people's opinions. But before we go over the crypto market overview, let's go ahead and look at a few more questions. Okay. Adam says, what are your views on the Aurora blockchain? No thoughts on it, honestly. I think it had its run last cycle. Now it's just kind of, not as good. But again, if that's, because I believe that's still connected to Near protocol, right? Or like a subset of it. So if they have any big updates, I don't know what they've been doing the past couple of years, but if there's any big updates, maybe it could be doing good. Six Tick says, what is the best cold wallet in your opinion? Oh yeah, so Trezor. Yep, I answered that. Michael says, I'm very impressed with your call on Bitcoin. Hey, appreciate you, Michael. Much love. Let's see. Philip says, is it possible to make your live a little louder? Let me see real quick, guys. Let me stand by real quick. And let me try something, okay? Okay, here's my voice right now, and I'm going to change the gain on it a little bit. Okay. Okay, is this better for my voice? Is this a little bit louder? I can tune it a little bit louder, but is this a little bit better than what it was before? Tell me if you can see a difference at all. Let's see. Timur says, do you use volume in your trading analysis? I don't really use volume, to be honest, Timur, but volume is a good indicator. I mean, it's one of the leading indicators if you can use it right. And so, yeah, I would definitely use it if you can use it effectively. Six Tick says, is this a pre-recorded stream? No, this is not a pre-recorded stream. This is live. Corpus says, bro, you have been amazing. Ever since I joined the free group, I've just made 22K today and closed the Bitcoin trade. Thanks so much. Corpus, that's amazing. I need more comments like that. Let me know if you guys made money off this Bitcoin short, guys. I'd appreciate it. Let's see. Timur says, yeah. Six Tick is on it today. He's on it. Let's see. Eswar says, hey, CryptoData, hope you're doing well. Also, what time frame do you use to go long or short? I always get rigged when I use a 1 hour, 15-minute one. Yeah, hey, Eswar, appreciate it. Hope you're doing good as well. Yeah, as far as time frames, and I'll start doing the rest of this stream, just gonna answer a few more questions. As far as time frames, I use the daily or weekly. So because my trades are a little bit more significant, right? And usually I'll use low leverage, like 5x or 10x maybe. But yeah, usually daily or weekly because those are more significant, especially with support and resistance levels. Because like I mentioned in my previous TA Academy videos that I made here, you can find them in the Jim Hunter's channel, is I mentioned that on a daily candle, that's 24 hours worth of data. And so that's going to be more significant because it's going to tell you where traders wanted the price to land versus like a 15-minute candle. That's not significant at all. If you're looking at support resistance based off a 15-minute candle, you got to have more data. The daily or weekly is going to be more significant, especially if you're looking at moving averages as well, i.e. the 50 EMA or the 200 EMA. So keep that in mind. Usama says, very informative sessions. Been following Jim Hunter since December. Keep up the good work. God bless. Hey, thank you, Usama. God bless you as well. Six Tick says, Trezor, why do you think Trezor's the best? Because they've had less hacks than Ledger Nano S. So there's always been a battle between Trezor and Ledger. And there's other cold storage, but Trezor's just stood the test of time and had a little bit fewer hacks. And so I just think, in my opinion, it's a little bit safer, a little bit more tried and tested. Wasim says, bro, how do you manage your eyes due to 10 hours of screen time a day? So 10 hours of screen time a day, man, you got to take breaks. And you got to have the warm light sensitivity on your monitor as well. So blue light can wreck your eyes as well as wreck your sleep pattern, especially if it's late at night. So make sure you have like the eye care or, warm red light on your monitor, whatever eye care it has, because that is going to be the best for your eyes. And you got to there's also a technique, every 20 minutes, stare at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. And that kind of resets your eyes. So You can use that. You can just use, get outside, set a timer every 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever it is, and just get away from the screen. Just take a little break because it's always healthy in general. But yeah, I just take breaks in between. I'm never like at the monitor 10 hours like straight. I always take breaks in between. I always look away, always close my eyes, and yeah, try to keep that at bay. All right, let's go ahead and talk more about the stream. So, the crypto markets. Let's go and refresh the page. Ooh, I think Bitcoin hit our take profit too, guys. Let me see. 1 second. Okay. Yes, Bitcoin did hit our take profit too of 101,400. So you guys should be up over 33%. Guys, we are doing amazing right now. And Ethereum is getting very close to hitting as well for premium. So, awesome job, guys. Awesome job on that. We nailed these shorts perfectly. All right. Anyway, for Bitcoin, down 2.6%. Ethereum is down 1.8%. And then looking at the top gainers, so Dog with Hat is up 24.5%. XRP 6.5, Pi 5.4, Floki. So is what I mentioned, when Ethereum pumps, all these memes and layer ones, they pump as well, right? And so that's what we need. And again, I'll talk about some Ethereum TA as well. What I was looking at yesterday, especially for the premium group that I posted, is if Ethereum can break its 50 EMA on the weekly, at that point, then we are going to start alt season. But until then, because it's about 2580, 2600, and needs to close a weekly above, then at that point, we're still in chop solidation, as they say. So a lot of chop. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, good to see at least some memes and other coins outperforming. Now, also looking at the flows on DeFi Llama. So it's no surprise today we've had a lot of outflows. People are realizing those profits. Remember, we had a lot of euphoria on the market. Fear and greed index was getting high. Taking profits was warranted. And also we had the 7-day change. 7-day change. So good to see. Obviously, a lot of money flowed on chain the past 7 days, even the past month, because of all the good news, all the euphoria. But again, we're having the standard pullback, so it's perfectly normal. But interested to see over the week if this 1-day change will change it all. All right, now looking at here, let me blow my nose real quick. All right, guys, I'm back. Still getting over this sickness, but about 90% better. All right, fear and greed index is at 73. What does this mean? This means that, again, people are getting euphoric, right? Because once it gets up to these levels, usually we start to have some pullbacks. Usually we start to have a little pullback. So this doesn't mean we need to go all the way into the neutral area, but it does mean that you can still bounce around in greed for an extended period of time, which means we could still go down to that 60 level, which would mean a decline in price like we're seeing now. So people often associate greed with up only, but it's not that. It means that people are a little overconfident and maybe they're a little offside. So you need to remind them a little bit that, hey, we can still go down, even though there's all this good news, right? It's never up only. So that's why I always try to hedge my positions. That's why I called the Bitcoin short. That's why I try to keep you guys hedged so you can still make profit both ways. Because we can make profit on the upside, but Jim Hunters also makes profit on the downside. And then as far as the monthly returns, so the 2020 seasonality is playing out perfectly. We had a red January, or no, a green January, red February and March, and then green April and May. And this is something I've been talking about literally on most of my updates. Just keep an eye on 2020 seasonality, because like we've seen is, with April and May, it's still playing out perfectly. So I'm still expecting that we could have a green, call it a green, sorry guys. We could still have a green May, but then potentially go into a red June, okay? So in my opinion, we'll probably top out within the next week or so, maybe mid-May, that we may have a red summer. It's very possible before then a green Q4. Okay, so I always try to keep things in perspective. I never like to get too overly euphoric or overly bearish, but I do still like to look at things from a realistic lens, right? And that's something that all successful traders do. They look at both sides. They make sure they're not getting too overly euphoric or overly bearish. They just look at the data. That's why my name is CryptoData. If you guys aren't following me on X, definitely do so. I try to post a lot of good content on there at the CryptoData. But that's the biggest thing, is just making sure that you guys are looking at all the data and seeing, you know, if things are matching up and if there's there any correlation. All right, let's see. Brand Battle says Pengu's going down. Hard to say. I mean, obviously it's going down right now, but again, I'll talk about some levels in a minute when I get to the TA portion of the stream. Wasim, let's see, Eswar, okay, Eswar says, I have only $70 in my futures wallet. Any tips on how to grow it? I've already made 25 USDT profit with only 10 USDT. Also, how do you choose what coin to long or short? So, Eswar, for you, just keep doing what you're doing as far as following the Jim Hunter's leverage calls. It's probably the best bet. And then, you know, never allocating like all your money into one trade. Always allocating portions, whether it's 10, 20, 30% per trade, because you only have a little amount. But as far as choosing what coin to long or short, I just choose it based off liquidity. So it's got to have high liquidities like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, maybe SUI, Hype, right? Some of the coins like the top 30, 40. But also, I make sure that the indicators and my SR lines, my support resistance lines, are lining up. So for example, for the Bitcoin short, it was near that 106K resistance. Plus, it was overbought on the RSI and stock RSI on the daily time frame. Remember, the higher the time frame, the more significant it is. Meaning, daily is going to be better than the 4-hour. Weekly is going to be better than the daily, right? But again, you have to also realize that the higher the time frame, the longer time it's going to take to play out. Meaning, on the daily time frame, if you take a short there, that short may take a few days or a week to play out. Whereas on the weekly time frame, if you take a short, that may take a few weeks or a month or 2 months to play out, right? So you have to adjust your expectation depending on the time frame you're trading. If you're trading on the 15-minute and you take a short, well, your trade's probably going to play out within an hour or two, within a few hours, right? And so you just have to adjust it based off of that. Samat Cato, you think Brett will touch 10 billion? Hard to say. Hard to say. Memes are an interesting character this cycle. I don't want to say it'll touch a 10 billion, but it is one of the best memes on Base. So if Coinbase eventually lists it, then I think it's possible. Luca hit my TP right now. Awesome. Bitcoin short is printing. Gus, why Trezor over Ledger? Trezor's just been proven to be more secure. They've had less hacks in the past versus Ledger. But again, to each their own, right? Like I have both. So I don't want to say one's better than the other, but just keep in mind, you know, if you're going to use one, just know of the risks associated with both. NCK, if I leverage trade with 500 euro, should I focus on single shorts, longs, or diversify with smaller capital? You know, Nick, I would still diversify because you can make money on both ends, right? Now, again, I get it. You know, it's you know, it's not a lot of money, but still, it's a good amount to where I think you could still make some good money on both sides. Just when you trade, but only, and I caveat this, only trade the longs or the shorts whenever they are conducive and they are advantageous to your trade. Meaning, if you're trading on the short side, your indicators are overbought, you're at resistance, everything's lining up for a short. We're in extreme greed or greed. Whereas if you're looking for a long, it's at major support, indicators are oversold, we're in extreme fear or fear. Cool. Now it's advantageous for you. You know, but don't just long and short just because. Like if you're in the middle of a range, don't just long and short at the same time just because. Like, only do it when you're at extremes and it's to your advantage. The big caveat. Exodia said, do you think we're going to have a pullback and then continue the rally? Yes, I think so. All right, let's continue a little bit more of the stream. And again, guys, if you haven't liked the video, please like the stream. I'd appreciate it a lot. It helps me continue to provide these for free. And it helps gym hunters continue to grow to the masses. So I really, really appreciate it, guys. Bitcoin ETF flow. So May 9th. Friday, it was 321 mils. So good to see institutions are still interested in Bitcoin. And it wasn't too high, meaning, you know, we don't need to have a huge pullback. But it does show even at these high levels, institutions are still interested. So curious to see what happens. Assuming we're going to see some type of outflow today. And looking for Ethereum, Ethereum actually had positive inflows on Friday after 2 or 3 days of negative flows. So that's something that people need to watch as well. You know, 17 million and then 3 days of outflows. And so there's still some interest in Ethereum, but I want to see triple digits. I want to see the 9 figures. I want to see 100 mil plus of inflows. That will really show the interest is back for Ethereum. And then that'll match the data with what we're seeing with the price. So something to keep in mind there. Now, let's talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum for some TA. So, huge rejection here. Huge, huge rejection. So we're seeing a big rejection from the RSI, the stock RSI. This is great to see, at least for those who are in shorts, right? So at Gym Hunters, we got ahead of the shorts. We made sure to stay ahead of that. Now, what I'm looking for here is for Bitcoin. I mean, it already broke through our first. It already hit our second take profit of 101,400. Now, the third take profit's going to be around 99,800. Still very possible we reach that. It's gotten very close. And again, guys, the reason I took this short is because, one, we were at major resistance on the daily, 106K. 2, the RSI and stock RSI were overbought. And 3, the greed index was at 73, 75. So that's why I took this short, guys. You have to take emotions out of the equation and strictly look at the data. Now, for anyone asking me, when should I long? Should I long right now? Should I long next week? Should I get out of my longs? What do I do? So I will say this. Bitcoin for a long, I would start dabbling around 99 to 100K. Good level to initially get in your long, maybe 10, 20, 30%. And then the rest of your long, probably around 95 to 96K. Because this has been good support in the past. Okay? So I would say 95 to 96K would be a good level where you reset. And then if you want to do like 10% of your long at 90 to 91K, you could have that as well. But I think, 50 to 60% of your long should be around 95 to 96K. I think it'd be a great level. But then still about 10, 20% should be around 99 to 100K, because I think this may get front ran a little bit, but we'll see. But yeah, that's, again, it really is as easy as this, right? I'm not doing rocket science. I'm keeping it simple. I'm taking emotions out of the equation. That's what I go over in our TA Academy videos on the Gym Hunters YouTube channel. And so just take emotion out of it. It's going to be a lot easier. Let me go over some of the questions real quick. Six says, you can check your balance on Ledger. Don't you think that's better? Please explain more. So between checking my balance on Ledger or getting hacked or my information getting leaked, I think I'd rather go with Trezor on that. Now, again, Trezor has had a lot of updates. Maybe you can check your balance on Trezor too. But it's Six-Tick. It seems like you really want to use Ledger. So if you want to use Ledger, just go with Ledger. Honestly, like it's 612, half dozen the other. Like both are going to be fine. Gentle says TP2 hit. You love to see it. You love to see it, guys. Opinion and ETH on technical side. So good segue, Orestes. Let's go ahead and look at ETH. By the way, if you guys aren't following me on X, definitely do so. I'm at the CryptoData. The CryptoData. So if you're not following me on there, follow me on there. But let's go over Ethereum. So all right, Ethereum had big drop. Big drop. So yeah, again, we called a short on Ethereum and Gym Hunters Premium. If you guys aren't in there, you definitely need to be. It's 1 Ethereum for a yearly subscription. Links in the description if you want to join. But yeah, this has been amazing, right? This short on Ethereum, we called this perfectly. And this has been another good one playing out with our Bitcoin shorts. So the reason I called this, and let's actually go over, this was the chart I used. And so I said, one, we have the short here on Ethereum. It was lining up with the weekly 50 EMA, right? Which is historically acted as resistance, or when it broke through, we're going a lot higher, or we broke down, we're going a lot lower. Or it's acted as resistance in the past or support, right? Resistance in the past. And so now it's coming up against resistance with the 100 EMA, also resistance with the horizontal resistance, previous support term resistance at 2600. So there's a lot of indicators saying we're probably going to go back to the downside. And so the reason I called, again, the short in the premium group, I know I didn't call it in the free group, but again, that's just the advantage of being the premium group. You get more calls, etc. Is my take profits. One, I have my take profit. The last one, which we just hit, was 24.30. And so, because that's where the 200 EMA is. And so 200 EMA has historically acted as support or resistance in the past. And so that's why I made that as my take profit call. And so, again, guys, that's why it's important to have these calls and to have these levels ahead of time so that you can be ready. Whenever everyone is looking, oh, I need a long, guys, you got to be able to take emotions out of the equation. Please, please, please remember that. And when you strictly look at the data, that's what you'll see. So good support. So there is weekly support on the 200 EMA actually at around 2380, 2370, 2380. So a good long here wouldn't be bad. And then, like I said, on the daily, we are at that 2430 level. I would wait to see if it closes above or below this. If it closes above it, could be a good long. If it closes below it, probably going a little bit lower to that 2370 level. So 2600 is big resistance. Again, for us to start alt season, we got to close above this 50 weekly EMA at 2580. If we close above that on the weekly, probably going to send a lot higher. All right, let's look at some questions. Vibey says, any idea on Swissborg token? So much potential or utility of their exchange. I don't have any idea on Swissborg, Vibey. Honestly, with a lot of these utility plays, it's all about mind share. They can have the best tech in the world, but if they don't have the mind share, if they don't have the marketing, it's not going to go anywhere, right? That's the unfortunate truth. And so if they have the marketing, if they have a lot of upcoming catalysts, maybe. If they have some big backers, some big influencers, maybe. But I need to look at it a little more. Six tick. Okay, it says volume's better. Awesome, guys. Awesome. Timur, no problem. Let's see. Mr. Boombastic, how long will Tron long hold for? So that was not my call. So I would see how long Luke wants to hold it for. But again, like most of these pullbacks, I'm expecting them to be pretty swift. And so there's a lot of fear. People may be having doubts, getting out, and then we'll probably reverse back to the upside. So again, just, you know, whatever, I would chart those major support levels and see what's going to be most advantageous for holding. Yar Dunlap says, check out former hedge fund manager Jordy Visser's recent Substack regarding the dollar and inverse relationship. Really interesting take regarding Buffett prediction in there as well. Appreciate it, Yar. We'll definitely check that out. Adam says, the correlation between the DXY and other currencies has diminished due to the widespread institutional adoption of the US dollar. Also, the BRIC countries have a negative perception of the US dollar. Got it. Okay. And the US stock exchange primarily due to the manipulation of the currency market. Got it. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Yar and Adam. Appreciate the explanations there. Gus said, also, John Luke, try consuming immune-boosting food to recover from the cold faster. Hey, appreciate it. Yeah, I've been taking a lot of vitamin C. Of course, eating oranges and just, yeah, other food that has vitamin C in it and zinc and all that good stuff. So appreciate it. Asthma says, tell me about Daddy Meme Coin. I don't have much on that. I'm not invested in it, and I recommend everyone else take precaution because, yeah, that coin is very volatile and you can lose a lot of money if you aren't careful. Mattis says, what do you think? Can ETH have a pullback now, at least at 2K? I don't think it's going to go to 2K. I think 2430 may have been the bottom there. Potentially could go to 2370. Not sure any lower after that. Eric, what are new entry levels for Pengu? All right. Let's go ahead and look at Pengu. Sorry, guys. Let me just do... Hold on, guys. Can you make one for that as well? All right. So for Pengu... So, let me see real quick. So honestly, I mean, it's technically right near support. Resistance turns support if it can hold this. So if the daily closes above 1.28 cents, if the daily closes above 1.28 cents, then it could do very, very well. So, yeah, I would say wait for the daily close and see what happens here. But, yeah, there is good support at like 1.3, 1.28. So, yeah, if it can close above that, good. If not, the next major support is going to be about 1 cent. So, unfortunately, that'd be where I look to long. And, yeah, see, so we're seeing just, again, on the daily, you had the RSI overbought, crossing to the downside, very bearish there. So MACD looking like it kind of wants to curl over. So yeah, may have some negative momentum in the short term for Pengu. Let's see. Timmer says, do you use MACD? I do a little bit, but I don't make it the sole, deciding factor. I mostly use RSI and stock RSI. Let's see. Eric says, how high could the pullback go? If you mean how low could the pullback go, for Bitcoin, 95, 96,000. If you're talking about all-time highs, 117,000, probably all-time high. Brian says, strictly data. Shout out CryptoData. Hey, appreciate you, Brian. Co says, do you follow the global net liquidity and M2 thesis? Yes, I do, Co. Yes, I do, actually. And so thank you for mentioning that. So let me go over that real quick. Let's go over my X account. Give me 1 sec, guys. Okay. So my X account, I actually posted about this. So this was a post I made on May 8th. And I said, on April 27th, I called for a move lower on Bitcoin unless it closed above 96K within a few days. On May 1st, it closed a daily above 96K, which confirmed further continuation to the upside. And then I talked about the 2020 seasonality, and then I talked about the M2 supply and the global liquidity. Okay? And so, for anyone who doesn't know, the M2 money supply basically is, all the countries and their money they're printing and basically their total net liquidity. And so, with that said, Bitcoin lags it. So as you can see, whenever we had the M2 money supply decline, and gold is actually also a correlation with Bitcoin. It's lagging correlation. Most people don't look at. Gold is in yellow. So when the M2 money supply and gold are decreasing, Bitcoin is increasing. But then eventually, Bitcoin caught on and started declining, right? As the M2 money supply and gold started increasing. And then finally now we're seeing Bitcoin catch up, right? Finally. And now we have it going a lot higher. And so the lag is about 100 days, plus or minus a week. And so if you take that calculation into effect, I mean, May 1st is technically when this reversal happened. And so we still got a ways to go, right? But again, guys, I don't want to say we're going to have a green summer because I think it's highly unlikely we have a green summer. But the fact that it's played out so far is good to see and still see this correlation is in effect and this lag between gold and M2 and Bitcoin. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Appreciate it. Claudio says, hey, when do you feel it would be a good time to buy back into Bitcoin and altcoins? Claudio, probably as the indicators reset, probably as Bitcoin approaches 99 to 100K, I dabble a little bit. And then as it gets to 95 and 96K, I dabble a little bit more. All right. Gentle says, all this move was Elliott Wave 1 through 5 from 74 to 105 today. Now we should see an ABC correction. Gentle, thanks for mentioning that as well. Elliott Wave is an amazing, amazing analysis, type of analysis, I should say. Some of the top traders use it. I know the Wyckoff method as well incorporates it. And so, yeah, Elliott Wave, again, yeah, like you said, it predicted this move as well. So kudos on that. Boombastic says, only got $35 in my futures wallet, currently on the TRX day. How do you suggest I trade and grow my small capital? I mean, initially, just try to follow the Gem Hunter's calls and just diversify accordingly. So never put all $35 into your trade. Maybe you put like 30% into each trade and then, you know, see what plays out from there. That'd be my best bet. None says, where can I get your indicators? So, yeah, so these are all free indicators, None. So you can like go on BloFin, for example, and this is a Fibonacci indicator. So literally left side, just click Fibonacci retracement. This is an RSI indicator here. So all you have to do is on the top left, click on this little line, you know, this right angle with this line, indicator button, type in RSI, relative strength index, that's this one. And then stock RSI is the stochastic RSI right here. And so think of stock RSI as like a sped up version of the RSI, more or less. All right. I'm going to have to head out soon, guys, so I'll answer the last few questions, and I'll go over the rest of the stream. Let's see. Michael says, as you know a lot, what's your thoughts on MicroStrategy? Good long-term investment? Ooh, Michael, good question. So if we expect Bitcoin to be a good store of value 5 years from now, and MicroStrategy to stay solvent 5 years from now, then historically, it's probably a good investment. Now, would I buy here? I'd probably wait for a better opportunity. But nonetheless, I do think long-term, it's probably a good investment. It's good diversification at the very least, right? Like you have equities. I mean, a MicroStrategy, I guess, is part of equity, but it's kind of like a cross. It's kind of like you're investing in Coinbase in a way, like Coinbase, MicroStrategy, and then Bitcoin. You know, you have some exposure to equities there, but also the S&P and the Magnificent Seven with all the tech stocks. So yeah, I would just place it in a pool with your other portfolio. That's what I would say, because it's in my opinion, it still has good upside, especially if they can deliver and actually leverage more of their shares to buy even more Bitcoin, which I know they're trying to do. Opinion on Pulse Chain and Ton. Orestes, 1.2K in ETH trade. Awesome. So good to hear. Opinion on Pulse Chain and Pulse Chain. Honestly, I'm iffy on that. Like, I don't have an opinion on it. I know that there's a guy called, his name is Nick, and he's actually really bullish on Pulse Chain. 1 second, guys. Let me find that for you. So I think is it Nick? Yeah. Nick Hellman. So this guy is always talking, where is it at? He's always talking about Pulse Chain, and like anytime he asks about Pulse Chain and everything. So yeah, I would Nick Hellman, Crypto Hitman with 2 N's. This guy always talks about Pulse Chain, so maybe follow him and see what he's see where he's going at. Okay. And then as far as Ton, I'm indifferent, just because, I mean, the team needs to work together more. There needs to be more adoption. Yes, there's a lot of users on Telegram, but unless there's some incentive for them to join besides just tap to earn games, it's not going to do much. So they really need to find some type of integration, some type of thing that's going to keep users on the chain, keep them using it, and get involved in crypto. A lot of potential, though. Asma says, what do you think, Doge or Pepe? Ooh, Good question, Asma. Great question. Doge or Pepe? And again, guys, if you could like the video, I'd really appreciate it. It helps spread Gem Hunters to the masses. If you haven't joined the free Gem Hunters Telegram group, definitely do so. Links in the description, along with our BloFin link. Non-KYC leverage trading exchange, the best one there is. Definitely join that. Get access to our campaigns. And if you guys want to join the Gem Hunters Premium group, where I did make the Ethereum short call as well, where we're up 40+%. It's 1 ETH for a yearly subscription. You can join in the description as well. Okay, so you asked Doge or Pepe. Doge is rank 8, Pepe's 31. If you're bullish on Ethereum, Pepe. Because Pepe is like an ETH beta. That's what I would say about that. Doge has the mind share, yes. You may get more multiples with Pepe. Again, why not both? You could have both as well, right? But I'd probably do like 60-40, Pepe Doge. If you want to do both. Whoops. Okay, let's answer a few more questions. Sino says Dolan. So Dolan, I need to look at more. Again, Dolan is held up not too bad. It had a nice little bounce. But again, it's one of those things where unless there's constant mind share on it, then that's where, you know, the biggest thing. Now, I'll go ahead and look at Dolan real quick because I know that people have been asking about it. Let's see. 1 second, guys. Let me pull it up on my other screen real quick. And also, SNA was saying, could you look at Brett, please? Okay, so we can look at Dolan real quick. Dolan's up 10% today. Awesome, right? It's having a nice curl up. Like, Dolan is honestly rising again. And so what I would say is Dolan is right at resistance. And so just keep that in mind, you know, where it rejected from last time. Now the RSI, if we look at that, RSI may be forming a little bearish divergence, maybe. Again, it's over 14 days, so may not be as accurate here, but nonetheless, just keep that in mind. Could be a little rejection in the near future, as price is making a higher high, RSI is making a lower high. So something to keep in mind there. But yeah, Dolan, I mean, is still looking strong. I mean, volume, 310K could be better, but again, that's just something that's, because it's a meme, there's not as much attention on it. But yeah, if we can break above 10 mil, then I would start to look for 13. And then after 13, probably like 20. Yeah, so still some potential with Dolan. Then real quick, Brett. Again, I have to go soon, guys, so this will be really quick. Okay. Okay, so for Brett, same thing here, right? Bearish divergence on the RSI. And then that's what caused the recent pullback here. It reached resistance as well, previous support term resistance. So at the very least, Brett, I'd wait for 700 mil to start bidding and then go at 500 mil. That'd be your best risk reward. Then obviously if it gets way down here at 270, I doubt it will. But yeah, 500 mil, probably your bread and butter trade. You can start dabbling around 700. Saban says, what do you think about Tron? Should we stay in our long or close? Hard to say, honestly. Like, I'll chart Tron for you guys since I know a lot of you guys are in that right now. 1 second. Again, make sure you guys are using BloFin if you're not. Top non-KYC leverage trading exchange. Links in the description. And again, You won't be eligible for our campaigns if you do not sign up under the ref link in the description. So make sure you guys do so. All right, so here's the thing with Tron. RSI is starting to get overbought. Stock RSI is overbought as well. It's nearing resistance. If the daily doesn't close above 27.2 cents, then I'd probably get out of your long. That's just from looking at this perspective, or this thing. I mean, it had a nice run. I mean, it went up to 28 cents, so made some good money for you guys who longed yesterday. But yeah, it may be due for a pullback soon. So as far as when to long it, 25.6 cents would be a good level. 25.6 cents. But yeah, I would watch the daily close. If it closes below 27.2 cents on the daily, maybe best to get out. But again, just to each their own, right? It's not my trade, so I would just, but that's how I would play it. Okay, cool. And then let me real quick go over the rest of the stream here as far as upcoming events. So we do have the FTX distribution slated for May 30th. This is where the remaining $11.4 billion worth of capital will be distributed to people who had repayments exceeding $50,000. So while this won't be like similar to the COVID stimulus event, if at least 10% of those people, $1 billion, reinvest it into crypto, it's going to be a good little injection of capital. So keep this in mind, guys. Now, again, it's not going to happen all at once. It's going to happen over an extended period of time, probably potentially 3 to 6 months. But nonetheless, we'll probably see that be a tailwind as well. So something to keep in mind. Then also we have the Bitcoin conference. So Bitcoin conference is going to be, I believe, May 27th to May 29th. And so keep that in mind. The Bitcoin conference is going to be a big event. Remember, JD Vance is going to be going to this. And so, yeah, be a big event, guys. May 27th to May 29th. And you also have the PPI numbers and CPI numbers today and the 15th. So keep that in mind. Man of Valor, can you still make money, profit in Gem Hunters with spot instead of futures? Yeah, you definitely can, of course, 100%. I mean, we have Gem Alpha calls. We even have, if you want to trade meme coins, we have a lot of meme coin calls as well. So that's spot technically, but again, a little bit more volatile. But yeah, there's a lot of plays you can make with just spot, 100%. Claudio says, what are the top 3 Twitter accounts we should not follow? Not including news like Watcher Guru and other Twitters. I'm not sure about not following, but you should follow Into Cryptoverse. He's Benjamin Cohen. He's a really good analyst. Follow him. Follow myself at the CryptoData. So myself at the CryptoData. If you follow Into Cryptoverse, Benjamin Cohen. Great analyst here. And then Virtual Bacon is another good one. So Virtual Bacon 0x. Another good one. So those 3 accounts, good accounts. Smash says, is this crypto arbitrage? No. So crypto arbitrage is like if you see Bitcoin's price at 103.9K on one exchange, but it's 104K on another exchange. And so you have capital on both exchanges and you buy Bitcoin on one exchange and then you sell it on the other exchange for higher. That's like arbitrage. It's like small differences when there should be none. CMT says, could you briefly explain Elliott waves? Yeah, so Elliott waves is here. Okay. So Elliott waves is basically like certain patterns that have been consistent over time based off like human emotions and impulse moves and just like market structure that tends to play out historically. and it comes in waves and different patterns. I know it's not a good way of explaining it, but it's based a lot off like human psychology and typical market structure that plays out over time just due to repeating patterns. It's very accurate though. Thoughts on XDC? No thoughts. Opinion on SPX 6900? No thoughts. Prime Lawyer briefly analyzed Tau, Toshi, and Sui. Oh, that's a lot. I don't have that time right now, unfortunately. I mean, I'll do a quick one, but I can't do any more TA after that. Michael West, I find your insights well helpful. Respect. How do we decide when to sell our coins? When they reach resistance or when they've reached a certain profit. So make sure you guys are looking at resistance or when your indicators are overbought, oversold, etc. I wouldn't short BTC here, Saban. Men of Valor says, thank you for your service. Hey, no problem. Thank you. Okay. Thoughts on XRP, Cade? No thoughts on XRP currently. Tau, Toshi, and Sui. Those will be the last ones we go over. Then I'll have to end the stream. So this will be like very quick fire here. But let's just go over. Okay, Tau. Tau hit resistance at 475. Support's going to be around 412 if you can get it near there. If you want to buy it a little earlier, it's going to be around 435. RSI is overbought. Stock RSI is overbought. It's going to pull back soon. I would not be longing here. I would looking to long around that 436 or that 410 level. And then Sui. Sui resistance is going to be near 412. Support is going to be 358. So I'd buy it near 358 if you can get it near there. The RSI is overbought. Stock RSI is crossing to the downside. Again, wait for 358, 360. Good buy level there. Below that, about 325. And then Toshi. Hold on. And then Toshi for this real quick. All right, so yeah, Toshi, it's at 7.8. I mean, it's still really good. If it can close the daily above 0.0078, very bullish. As far as buying it on a retracement, potentially look at about 6.7 would be a good buy level, and then 5.9 below that. But yeah, it's very, very strong. Next big resistance is going to be 0.01, and then potentially the 0.0009. So the RSI is very overbought. Stock RSI is very overbought, so I would not be longing here. I would wait for a retracement at a minimum to 7.7 and then really 6.7. But with that, guys, that is going to conclude it. Appreciate you guys. Men of Valor says, if you're in a meme coin, would you sell your initials and let it ride or slowly scalp profits along the way up? I would scalp profits along on the way up, Men of Valor. So because you never know how high a meme coin's going to go, but you still want to keep taking profits. And eventually, yes, keep a moon bag, but still keep taking profits. So that's the best. Says that PC has to be a beast. What are those specs? Yeah, it's a i9. I believe is it a 13900K? i9 13900K with 64 gigs of RAM, a RTX 4090 with 1 terabyte NVMe, and I believe a 12 or 1300 watt power supply, and what else? And then a 360 AIU cooler with let's see, 1, 2, 3, 10 fans. So it's yeah, it's a beast. And it's a Lee and Lee case as well. So I built it probably like a month or like a year ago, maybe a year and a half. I actually posted on my X account. It's way, way back on my tweets. But yeah, guys. Timmer, my settings on RSI and stock RSI are the default settings. So standard, like 14 and 3.3. But thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate all of you. Love you guys. Hope you guys have a great Monday. Again, please like the video if you liked it. Helps spread gem hunters to the masses. And it helps keep this group free. If you want to join the premium group, join in the description. 1 ETH for a yearly subscription. And if you haven't signed up for our BloFin account, do so in the description as well. Appreciate all you guys. Love you. Talk to you guys later.